Hello, fifth grade. This is Mrs. Cox with your homework. It is on page 913, and we are in chapter 12, lesson 2. Now, you're going to need for this chapter the ruler. You can either cut the ruler out on the side or you can use it from our guided practice. And what it's wanting you to do right through here is it wants you to measure the sides. Now, because we have protractors in the classroom and you don't have them at your house, we are not going to measure the angles, but that's how they got these angles on these measurements on each of these angles on these corners is with the protractor. And there's a video that if you haven't watched yet, please watch. It's a 4.5-minute video on how to use a protractor. It's a good life skill you will need to know for 7th grade, 6th grade, and 7th grade. All right, let's dive into this, shall we? This right here wants us to measure the sides of each triangle to the nearest 1/10 of a centimeter, and then describe if all the number of sides, describe the number of congruent sides. Now remember, the congruent is just a fancy word for the word that means same length. All right, let's measure these sides. Remember, you measure at the 0, not at the edge. So you come over here to the long line at the 0, and that's about 2.5 or 2.5 centimeters. This one, ooh, is a little bit less. This one, no, I would say I'd round it to 2.5. Then this long one is 4. So now we measure to the nearest 1/10 of the centimeter, and then we describe the number of congruent sides. We can say that this triangle has 2 and then our famous friend from Minions, Gru, 2 congruent sides. That's how you remember how to spell it. The Gru was hidden right there. All right, number 2. We need to measure this fabulous triangle. That would be 2 centimeters. Then we have 3, I'm going to say 4. 4 centimeters. Well, this one's going to be different. This one, I'm going to say it's going to be 3. So now this one, well, describe the number of congruent sides. None of these sides are the same length, so I'm going to say this triangle has no congruent. I always want to add an A right there. No congruent sides. Okay, turn to page 914, please. Okay, let me get that right there. Measure the angles of each triangle to the nearest degree and then describe the number of acute, right, or obtuse angles. Well, this is where you need your handy-dandy protractor, and since we don't have protractors at your house, or if you do have a protractor, your dad probably teaches math. So I'm just going to hand you the degrees, so write these down, please. This is 35, and you have to add a little circle right there. That's a fancy way of saying degree. And this one is 80 degree, 65 degree, and this one is 30 degree, 20 degree, and 130 degree. Now remember, to be a triangle, you can add all of these up, it'll equal 180. Add all of these ones up to equal 180. All right, we now have all the degrees on the corners. So we need to figure out if they're acute, right, or obtuse. And did we do that with you doing our letter L trick? So I'm going to draw a letter L laying down, and then another letter L laying down. Boy, those are both smaller than the letter L. If I did a letter L right there, that would still be smaller. So now remember, the little trick is if you draw a letter L, it is a right angle. If you draw a letter L and the angle is smaller than, it is an acute angle. If you can draw a letter L but the angle is bigger than, it is an obtuse. An obtuse angle. So right here, all of these are smaller than my letter L's, so these are all 3 acute angles. All right, number 4. We are working on figuring out what these angles are. So if I were to draw a letter L here, probably a backwards letter L. Ooh, that's definitely bigger, so that one's an obtuse. And if I were to draw a letter L pointing down, another letter L, flip it around. Yep, so I would say these are acute. So it has 2 acute, 2 acute angles, and then 1 obtuse, one great big angle. And that's how we figured out. I love that. By the way, I just learned that trick this year. Pretty excited about that trick. Okay, let's talk about number 5. We are measuring the sides of the triangle shown. How many of the sides are congruent? Remember, the congruent means same length. So let's measure. Okay, that side is a little over 4. We'll just say about 4 centimeters. And this side is about 2.5, 2.5. And this side is about 2.5. So how many sides are congruent, friends? That's right. Nicely done. Okay, we're going to refer to this triangle and measure the angles of the triangle shown. How many of the angles are congruent? This one wants us to say how many angles are congruent, or how many do we have of the angles of the triangle are congruent? Well, we have 2 that are the same. So we're going to say 2 angles. Our 2 angles are the same length. Congruent means same length, same angle. All right, here is a billiard rack that's used to organize billiard balls at the beginning of the game. Jason is making the wood rack and found that each angle is congruent, which means each angle is the same. Like these angles were the same here for these ones. We can circle them so we can help them out. So each angle is the same. And he found that the sum of all these angles is 180. So what he discovered is when he takes angle 1 plus angle 2 plus angle 3, it equals 180. Because that means it is a triangle. So how can we figure out what these angles are? How about we do this? 180 divided by 3. Do you agree that would work? Good. 3 will go into 18 6 times. 60. So then each of our little angles are going to be 60. Whoops, 60, not 66. Do you agree? And this is how you write it. 60 and a little degree sign. So circle so I know that that's your answer, please. Number 8, measure the angle of the triangle. How many acute angles does this triangle have? Okay, so let's do letter L. Okay, if I were to do a letter L right here, that one's smaller, so that one's an acute. Let's do a letter L here, lay it down, put the letter L up. Oh, that one's smaller too. Do a letter L here. Oh, that one's smaller too. So I would say it has, oh wait, hang on a second. I drew that wrong, my bad. If I do a letter L, that one is a right. Okay, that's much better. Sorry about that. So it has one right angle, but it's only asking how many acute angles does it have. We're going to say 2 acute or 2 acute angles. There you go. Okay, friends, remember that on your Alex, you have a short little 10-question homework page. And a page that's going to help you that you need to remember in your math book is turn to 904. And you have this table here, triangle, quadrilateral, pentagon, hexagon, and octagon. That's going to help you with your Alex homework because you're going to count the sides and determine which one of these it's going to fall into. So you're fine to use this page. Remember 904 in your math book to help you out with your Alex homework. 5 questions will be on counting sides and 5 other questions will be on angles just like we did in our homework today. So go ahead and feel free to use your math book to help you out with your Alex homework. And Don't forget this cute little right angle with the letter L. Smaller is obtuse. Smaller is acute, my bad. And obtuse is bigger. All right, thank you for your time and have a great day.